I've hated posting like my own stuff.
Yeah.
I hated doing it. I always want to be like, who cares? I'm the only one that cares. But I think one, people want to see what you're doing. I think we live in that time of no, people want to see content. And two, more than that, it reminds yourself of how far you've come and if I
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Connect Over Coffee. Joining me today is Mr. Yannick Skerritt. Yannick is the producer at Monumental Sports and Entertainment. Yannick, thanks for joining me today.
awesome to be here. I've been watching your episodes for the last couple of years. So I was like, I've been waiting for my call. So it's great to finally be on the show.
Yeah, well, sorry it took me so long, but I'm glad you're on the show with us today as well. I'm specifically excited to chat with you because I want to know, first off, I think I may know the answer. Where do you keep your Emmy? Where do you keep your telly? And then, of course, I want to learn more about your role here as well. But before we hop into that, we're going to jump into our 2-minute drill. Yannick, I'm just going to rapid fire a few questions at you. You just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Are
All
you
right.
ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Coffee or tea?
T.
Scripted or reality TV?
Oh, scripted.
Favorite sports movie?
Does Jerry Maguire count?
It does. It has football scenes in it, so we'll allow it.
If not, then Little Giants, but Jerry Maguire's.
Ooh, two good movies there, though. Little Giants, that's a good one. I like that one. I got to add that one to like my favorite list, actually. Favorite sports team?
Wizards. Washington Wizards.
Okay. Better food scene, Philly or DC?
Love my home city, but I gotta go with Philadelphia as a chief food city.
I love it. All right. I go with that answer too, living in both areas. DC's food scene, though.
It's underrated. It's underrated.
Very underrated.
You gotta really hunt for the spots, but Philly,
yes, got it. But very underrated. So people need to give it a little bit more credit.
Yes.
And then final question. One song that gets you hyped every time you hear it.
Since you go with the top of the head, got to go with Annie Up remix. Ever since college, that's been my hype song.
That's a good one. That's a good one, especially when Busta Rhymes pops on.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, how can we can't be sitting down anymore? You got to be hyped and amped and all that. So yeah.
Okay, so we hop into our first question here. What did you win your Emmy for?
So I actually have 2 Emmys now.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Okay. Two Emmys. Oh. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I'm usually humble, but you know. So I got 2 Emmys. Most recent one did a video for MLK Day for the Wizards for our game presentation. We had a poet do a poem for MLK Day. And we shot it in the MLK library. So it's just a quick minute video, but we won for diversity and inclusion. So that was awesome. It was actually shocking. Wasn't even going to submit it, but I was like, whatever, let me do it. And won. And then the first Emmy won it at Monumental. We did a documentary on Caron Butler.
Yeah.
So that one was a whole long ordeal, but obviously worth it at the end to get the award.
That one was well done. I remember seeing that actually and previewing it a little bit back in the day there. So
yeah,
that one was well. I'm not saying that all of them aren't well done, but I remember seeing that firsthand experience of all the work you guys did, and I loved it. So that was pretty awesome. Congratulations on two Emmys there. And then I think I know the answer to my next question here, but is this the typical place right behind you where you like to store your awards?
Oh yeah, so right behind me, this is like my home office. So have like awards and trinkets and stuff that I keep personal for myself. So like I have a baseball, all 30 stadiums because I want to visit all 30 stadiums. So I have a tracker there. Yeah. An All-Star magazine from Chicago, the Slam magazine, and then my 2 awards are up here on the bookshelf. So
nice, nice little humble flex there. I love it.
No, they're nicely placed in the shot. I wonder how that happened.
Definitely. And then, another question, explain to your audience, but mainly me, what exactly does a producer do?
Oh wow. I feel like it changes all the time, but at least in my role, because it's different from film or even news. So, producer at My Mail Sports and Entertainment, we're kind of like more so like producer director. So we go from being like a project manager where we get shoot requests from a client, whether it's an internal client like global partnerships, ticket sales, marketing. They want to community relations. They want to film something with the players or something to do with the Wizards. We will pretty much take that request and kind of guide it through the process of getting the shot, getting it edited, and finally delivered to wherever the client wants it to air. But not only that, we come up with our own ideas. So the poetry idea was an idea of mine. My buddy was a poet in the area, and I
Yeah.
wanted him to do it. He's a Wizards fan, so I would say, "You want to do something with the Wizards and poetry in the MLK library?" So yeah, let's do it. It's dope, and so we can come up with our own ideas, and it's a lot of we kind of, and it's a joke, but you got to pop the popcorn, you got to clean the toys, you got to kind of do everything to try to get these projects done. So sometimes you have to be a shooter if you need to. Sometimes you got to be an editor, give notes and all that. So it's pretty much like a one-stop shop. Like you're the axis of where everything goes around you, from your shooters and your editors and the
Yeah.
talent. It all kind of funnels through us.
So basically, you guys are like the Swiss Army knife.
We're the Swiss Army.
Skerritt.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's trust me, I feel it every day where it's like, oh man, you gotta kind of switch your brain from here to here, down and
Yeah.
up. So it's kind of wild sometimes.
No, that's far more, far more than what I thought you were going to say for sure. As a producer, that's amazing there that you guys kind of have the creative side of you, then you have the operational side. That best of both worlds right there, realistically. Um, but now that I got my burning questions out of the way from, your Emmy, what do you do? Let's dive a little bit deeper into the conversation here.
Yep.
Um, as a producer in the sports and entertainment industry, do you see a lot of diversity in your role?
Oh wow. Um, I would say no. Yeah, even though I think it's getting better, but I think I would just probably, first thing on top of my head, I would say no. I would say you do see a lot of people being kind of cognizant and making sure they're thinking of, how does this story impact this group, or how does it empower another group? But you do kind of want to see more thought in terms of, um, reaching as many people as possible. So,
Mhm.
I mean, one thing that we're trying to do now, we're trying to put closed captions in all of our videos now that we're
Mm.
trying to produce, just so we can impact our hard of hearing community.
Yeah.
How we shoot is how we're shooting. Is that going to impact people that may have visual impairments? So we have to make sure that that we're cognizant of that. And then just having different perspectives. So obviously I have a perspective, black male from DC,
Mhm.
but there's other perspectives. You have, sexual orientation, you have gender identity, you have whether you went to college or you didn't go to college, whether you're
Yeah.
from the area or you are a transplant, and how does these stories impact you? That's all different perspectives that we have to be cognizant of. And I think a lot of times I don't, at least I don't see it in terms of the staffing or crewing. It's kind of like I'm just going to go with the people that I'm comfortable with, and that's the people I'm going to work with. But it is, especially in this day and age, where you want to reach as many people as possible, you need to bring a whole bunch of different people to the table.
Yeah, I can only imagine if you're telling certain stories, whether it's from a Latino perspective, or a Black or minority perspective, or whatever have you, that you want to at least see people who are putting things together, that representation there. Otherwise, it doesn't, from an audience perspective, sometimes maybe doesn't seem as authentic.
Yeah.
So like one of the things I've always thought was really cool, I think it's Toyota. I think this was the first company I've seen do the closed captioning on the commercials.
Oh wow.
Like
Yeah.
that was just so like very easy, something you think about every day. It's very easy to have, but to see it in a commercial without you having to put on the closed captioning on your own personal TV, I just thought that was just great across the board. I think they even have the kid, the little kid or the young man from DC
Oh
in
yes.
one of their commercials.
Yep.
And I was just like, that's how you bring like an audience to relate to certain things. And I just loved what they were doing. So I'm glad that you guys are doing that as well. Cause it's very simple, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, but it's not done across the board in a lot of different areas there. Um,
Yeah, and it would trust me, the closed captioning thing was not my idea. I would never have thought of it. It's somebody else that mentioned, hey, we should do this. And I'm thinking back, like, oh, that's gonna be a lot of work for us. And oh, you're gonna get your videos later. And I'm like, no, this is actually important. We do have to make this a part of our routine because if we're trying to, I mean, natural fact, when you're watching something on your phone, a lot of times your volume's down anyway. So
mhm.
it's not even just our hard of hearing community, it's for everybody that's gonna benefit from having closed caption just baked in. And so it took even a while for me to even think like
Yeah.
to realize, hey, nah, this is important to really have broaden your scope of how you're looking at things and the perspective of how you're looking at things.
Yeah, I mean, I always say when you have diverse thinking in the room, you have diverse output that's able to come up
Mhm.
with it there. So
Yep.
you guys are proof of what you're
More
doing.
money because it's more people that you're reaching.
Exactly, exactly. But why do you think, just to kind of piggyback off that question a little bit, why do you think, especially, I know you're starting to see more of a trend of an uptick of diversity from a lot of different perspectives there, from the definition of the word diversity. But why do you think it's taking a little bit longer to see more diversity in this particular industry?
Yeah, this is an industry. I think it's a lot of like old guard. I don't know if that term fits, but it's like a lot of people that's like, hey, this is kind of the way we've always done it. You know, these are the people that have always been at the top. Why upset the apple cart? Why shake things up? I
Mhm.
want to work with people that I'm comfortable with. Since there's a lot of hours, obviously, in sports where you're kind of away from your family. So it's like, I just want to work with people that I'm cool with,
Yeah.
and so when you have that type of thinking, you're probably going to get more homogenous looking people, or people that are not going to bring a different perspective because that's going to make things uncomfortable. So I think that's why we're really you're seeing that it's been slow to really be intentional of getting different perspectives into these meetings, into these organizations. But I think people are finally realizing that, hey, one, it's more, these companies are realizing it's more money. First of all, when you have
Yeah.
different perspectives coming in, that the data backs it up, that you will get more money. Your employees will work harder because they're seeing that their perspectives are being respected,
Hmm.
that they have an input into the organization. Because you can have a diverse organization and people not feel included. They just feel like they just got me here, but they're not really listening to me.
Yeah.
So you're seeing that. I think that's where you're seeing the kind of the shift going, but we still got a long way to go. But I think if I were to say the reason why it's been so slow, I think just people just kind of like, this is the way it's always been. I'm comfortable this way. I don't really want to change for anybody. And so it's kind of taken a while to kind of get people to see that, hey, no, this benefits everybody.
Yeah. I think you touched on a very sensitive topic there. In what you said there, with having a diverse company but not being heard or respected.
Yeah.
It's like that is a lot of people don't think about that when you look at everything and you see diversity, but are there opinions being in putting in perspective or things like that? That's another topic for another day, I think, because we can probably
We could be here for a long time. I know
we
you
could be
only
here
have
for
me
a
for a
very
little
long
bit, but we can go for a long time on that one.
we sure can. Like, but I think that was something I wanted to highlight, that what you said there, because I think that is important. Just because we are hiring diversity doesn't mean all the time that their voices are being heard from that perspective there. Um, Tune in to another episode for
Part two.
yes. But I know in your role, I can only imagine you just what you deal with every day. You probably tell a lot of people to trust the process, right?
Yep.
But how often do you have to remind yourself to trust the process in your career?
Oh wow. Probably, I was about to say once a week, but it's probably like once a day because
Yeah.
you do feel like, hey, what's next? It's an industry where, there's probably one or two of me for the 30 teams. So it's only like probably between 60 and 90 jobs in the NBA that do what I do. So it's hard to really move and go to the next step or get to the next level. So you're like, what's next? Am I getting the training that I need? Am I making the connections that I need to? So you kind of sometimes it's easy to feel stuck. It's easy to feel imposter syndrome in this. If you're watching other teams and seeing what they're doing, it's like, oh wow, that was dope, and are we doing that? So you do have to kind of talk to yourself to trust the process, to be patient, and to really look back and say, hey, no, you have done dope stuff. So like even like and this is something I've been trying to learn. I've hated posting like my own stuff.
Yeah.
I hated doing it. I always want to be like, who cares? I'm the only one that cares. But I think one, people want to see what you're doing. I think we
Yeah.
live in that time of no, people want to see content. And two, more than that, it reminds yourself of how far you've come. And if I saw the stuff that I was doing in 2013 and looking at it at what I'm doing now in 2023, I'd be so impressed of how I've grown. I probably the 2013 me would thought I'd be doing something else. I don't know, like truck driving or bus driving. I don't know, doing something else. But I'm still in this industry. So.
NBA ref.
NBA, actually, you're right because I do ref high school, so maybe not NBA. I think I'd probably still be like JUCO somewhere, still trying to work my way up. But no, you do have to look back and see like, no, I have made steps and I have improved, and your time's going to come. You just have to be patient and keep doing the right things and building those good habits, and it'll pay off in time. And maybe it won't pay off in the way that you thought it would pay off, but it'll pay off for you in some way. So I think you got to continuously remind yourself that, have people around you that will remind yourself of that, your friends, your coworkers that will tell you like, no, you're dope. Keep doing it. Keep doing your thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would say. You got to keep pushing yourself and reminding yourself like, no, you're doing a good job here.
Yeah, it's probably the toughest thing to do, right? But when you look at it from a macro lens, where you started and where you are now, even if it's not exactly where you want to be, there's a reason why you're there. And
Yeah,
being able
yeah,
to take that step back is very important.
yeah. Gotta be 10 toes down, and that's something that's hard for me.
Yeah.
As much as I'm saying all this stuff, I'm preaching to myself. You gotta be 10 toes down. You gotta be present in the moment, and really sit back and be like, yo, this is actually pretty cool. And what I'm doing is pretty cool. And there'd be a
Yeah.
lot of people that want to do what I'm doing. So just be appreciative, be grateful, and realize that you're doing. If you're doing the best with what you've been given, if you've gotten 100%, I mean, they're good. You can go to sleep at night.
Yeah. Very simple, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But to backpack off that question,
Yeah.
has there ever been an MJ moment in your career where something someone said or did, maybe on purpose, maybe not on purpose, but motivated you to be better and prove them wrong?
Oh, I thought you wanted a short show. We can do this. We can go for a little bit. I would actually say the Quran documentary.
Okay.
So that was probably my first long documentary that I did. So kind of like learning on the fly, and I would say probably didn't get you know, maybe there's some things I could do better, but probably didn't get the support that needed to from people above. But you got to kind of believe. Sometimes you got to be the person that believes and have rally people around you to
Yeah.
believe. So um, they were saying things like, "Oh, we should probably just kill this and not do this." And I was like, "No, we have something here." So was able to reset. Got some people that were able to believe in what we're doing. One of our mutual friends, Carrington, was one of
Yeah.
them. Some other people that bought into it, and we pivoted and made the shift. And it took us a year and a little some change to get it done, but had a good documentary that I think a lot of people liked. Quran was very appreciative of it, and obviously got their award. So if I had let what they had said, kind of be like, oh, maybe they're right, and maybe
Yeah.
shouldn't do it, or have somebody else do it, then I wouldn't have that. But sometimes you have to kind of just block the naysayers out. But it's hard. It's hard, especially if it's somebody that is older, more experienced. You would think that maybe they know what they're talking about, but sometimes you have to bet on yourself, as they say. And
Yeah.
so that would be my MJ moment. And obviously, you have the trophy to prove it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what a MJ moment to come out on the other end with an Emmy.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, it's definitely a lot, but I learned a lot. I'm not gonna, and obviously the process wasn't smooth. I'm not gonna say it was all sunshine and rainbows, but I think a lot of times you learn the most when things are bumpy, when things are rocky, and you learn the people that's gonna be in your corner. When things are, because it's easy to be in your corner when everything's awesome, but it was when things are going rocky, you don't really know where things are going. That's where you see the people that's going to be like, no, I'm going to be right next to you and be with you.
Yeah. I mean, there's a I'm an analogy person all the time, right? So it's like the analogy of skilled sailors are not made off of smooth seas or something like that. So
Exactly.
it's that. I see
That's a
we have a
perfect
little
analogy.
visitor
I'm
here.
about to put that on my wall, but right back up there for part
There
two.
we go. I mean, it's a good analogy when you think about it. If everything was always smooth sailings, how are you going to learn? How are you going to be able to go back and or just innovate too?
Right.
So it's something very interesting. But I see we have a little visitor here.
Yeah, I guess he
Morning.
wanted to join in on the conversation, even though he can't.
Yeah, he might have some tidbits there as well. What's his name, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh yeah, come here. So this is Asa. Let me my show him. So this is my my new boss. What's up, Asa? You want to say hi to everybody? Say bye bye. Okay, let me see.
There
There.
we go. That's amazing there, Yannick.
This is Asa.
Wearing multiple hats here, so I love it.
As
Yeah.
always, as a producer should.
Yes, exactly. All right. So finally, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. We're
Okay.
gonna get into my favorite topic to talk about, which is networking.
Ooh.
And quickly, the reason why I love this topic, the reason why I always ask the question is because every time we ask it, we get a different response or a different thought or a different opinion on what networking is or how to go about it. As our good friend Stephen A. Smith, he's not really a good friend, but maybe one day
What
Stephen A.
speaking into
Smith will be
existence.
exactly. The list is fluid, so networking is fluid right there. So my question to you is, how important is networking in your role? And then what are a few ways you personally go about networking, either in your personal life or your professional life?
Oh man, yeah, networking is pretty much the only way to really get things done for me, to know who to talk to whenever we have a shoot, who's the best person to do this, or even just like if people have ideas to finish up a project, new creative ways. It's all about networking and talking to people. Because I don't have all the answers. Shoot, I barely have half the answers. So I have to talk to people. I have to reach out to people to see, what they're thinking, what their perspective is, how they would do this and that. Um, just even seeing, we had a shoot with the Go Go
Mm-hmm.
like a week ago, and I reached out to another NBA team because they did an open video that I kind of want to emulate for the Go Go. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, I don't know these people. How am I going to reach out? I didn't want to do a blind DM. They were like, "Who's this random person?" So I went through a coworker to talk to them, and they reach out, and it's cool, and that's how this industry goes. And the creative industry is a lot of imitation. You see something awesome, you want to do it, and you kind of reach out and see how did they do it, see how you can do it better. That's pretty much the creative industry. So networking is super important. It's something I wish I realized 20 years ago. Thought I could, had all the answers, and then I realized I not even not don't have the answers. I don't even have the questions to ask. So really networking is really the foundation of all this. How I go about networking is very hard because I really don't want to be like, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me? You don't want to do that because it feels
Yeah.
very like disingenuous. So it's a lot of like, who do I know? Like meeting people, friends in common, talking with folks, just seeing like, hey, just talking about, well, obviously the sports industry, so talking about sports, talking about our
Yeah.
teams, talking about things we have going on in common. If you see them do something cool, reaching out, it's like, yo, I think that was super dope. What you did, and just to kind of keep that line of communication open, so that when there is something, we're like, hey, I would like a favor, or hey, it's kind of easier. So that's kind of how I like to do it. I'm not definitely not the best at it. I'm kind of introverted. I don't know if you can tell or not, but
Not at all, actually.
it's kind of easy with the camera, and then I know you and you're super cool, so it's kind of easy to kind of open up. But like usually I'm introverted, so that's kind of the way I do it. Just kind of like, what's the one thing we have in common that I can kind of like use that to kind of build relationships with. And
Yeah.
but like even myself now, I'm trying to be more open, trying to go to more happy hours. If Asa lets me to go, try to go to more networking events and conferences to try to meet more people. So I'm trying to kind of branch out and break out of my shell.
Yeah, no. I think it's really important that you said networking. It's like a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
It's not always, hey, I want this job, so I'm going to reach out to you only because these opportunities are here, but like you're also providing your expertise to that person as well. So I think that's always very important when we chat through networking and how to go about it, making sure that you're also a value to the
Yeah.
person that you're networking with as well. So
That's a great
yeah.
way to put it. Like if I and I one thing I've learned that especially when people reach out to me, it's like, I know why you're reaching out, but I know that's the industry, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
feel some sort of way if you do that. But if you don't reach out, like you can never hit a if you want to hit a home run, you got to swing the bat sometimes. You got to shoot your
Yeah.
shot sometimes if you're going to make a bucket. You can't win if
Yeah.
you never shoot your shot in basketball. So you got
Exactly.
to shoot your shot. So that's the thing I'm trying to tell myself, like, hey, you got to put yourself out there a lot in order to get what you want.
Yeah. Another good analogy. We're full of them today. I
No,
love
yeah,
it.
we're trying. You rubbed off on me.
And finally, we made it to our last question here. And since we do have young ears in the room, I'll switch up the question just a tad bit.
I don't know
But our
if
final question, we'll call it our stuff you wish you knew,
you...
um, which loosely translates to what is one piece of advice you wish you could tell your younger self or someone just starting out in the sports and entertainment industry?
Oh man. So when I started, I didn't even know like my job existed.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I was kind of like, it's just like ESPN, Fox Sports, and that's it, or newspaper.
Hmm.
That's all I thought was sports industry. Um, so a piece of advice that I would tell myself is to, one is to network,
Yeah.
and don't pigeonhole yourself into one path. If you get an opportunity to go down another to do a different path, take it and see what happens. Try it for a year or 6 months to a year. See if you like it, whether it's internship, whether it's like an entry level job. Try it, because you never know. You have to be open to all possibilities, because it's not a straight road to where you want to get to. I thought it
Yeah.
was a straight road. I thought it was, you get to take a job and you get to ESPN and then you're good. And then I realized you don't even have to work at ESPN or Fox Sports to really be successful in this industry. You could work close to home here in DC for me, or you can work for an agency, and that will give you more access than any job at ESPN or newspaper or wherever than you
Yeah.
could have. You can have an opportunity to go at it alone, but you won't do that if you close yourself off to opportunities that present itself. So that's one thing that I would have told myself back 20 years from now. It's like, hey, be open to all possibilities, be open to taking risk and trying different things and putting yourself out there. Be open to all of that, because you never know where it will take you.
Yeah.
Um, and making sure that you are kind and nice and waving to people and saying hello, because you never know who will be the person that will take you to your next destination, and so never burning that bridge. So yeah, those are
Yeah.
the things I'll tell myself. Just being open to life's possibilities.
Yeah, no, I think that is so important. Even when I was younger, that's probably something I would probably tell myself too. Like I never thought I'd be where I'm at right now, right? Um, Considering where I started out in ticket sales, and I didn't even want to do ticket sales. I was like, sales, tickets. But little do I know, doing business development, and it's interesting the road that you take that you think it's going to be straight, but then it isn't. But
No,
another key thing that you said, be nice to others, and because you never know who that person knows or who they are. I think that's also very an underrated skill that's very easily somebody can put into their everyday life. Just being nice to other people. You know, I have stories who I've just been nice to people at Monumental Sports, from just the ushers and the concession workers, and
yeah.
just because of whatever reasons who I am, I chat with everyone if I can and be nice to anyone. But those connections now serve me in a different way because I was nice to them back to
Mhm.
all those years. And it's never, moral of the story, I'm ranting for whatever reason, but the moral of
No,
the
no,
story
no.
is be
What
nice.
you're absolutely right. I mean, we both know Amber Nichols. She was in ticket sales. She's a GM of a
Yeah.
professional team. There's people in digital, so I work closely with our Wizards digital department. There's people that work in digital departments at other NBA teams. That's now like assistant GM.
Yeah.
I think Portland had one, and so like you never know where this journey can take you, but you have to be open to everything and not feel some sort of way, because if you're open to everything, that's when you can be nice. That's when you can say,
Mhm.
hey, good morning, how you doing, know people's names, know the security guards names, because you never know. Usually the people that are making those decisions, they're asking those security guards, they're asking the ushers, they're asking the people, like, hey, you know this person? Like, yeah, yeah, and they talk good. And if you can be so impressive that you can make that impact on those frontline workers, then the decision makers can be like, oh no, this is somebody that we need to have in our building. Or if
Yeah.
it's a good organization that knows what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, I've heard stories of like in an interview. Actually, I think it was it a friend of mine, like they literally from like saying what's up to the desk person at the
Mm.
job, got the job just from saying what's up, because they
Yeah.
were tied with the person that they were competing against for the job, but because they were super cool with that front desk person, that they got the job. Like they're still there today. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. Kind of like twofold. Like when you're open and when you're positive for any opportunity, and you treat people with respect, I think those things go hand in hand in being successful.
Yeah. 100% for sure. And it just feels good too. Like I never saw anyone or heard anyone say I was nice to that person, and well, maybe I've heard somebody say before, but I never heard that they were nice to that person and it backfired in some type of negative way. But typically 99% success rate on that. It just feels
Right.
good to be a nice person. Uh, Yannick, I feel like I could talk to you the rest of the day here, but we're going to wrap it up here. I definitely want to say thank you for connecting with me today. It was a pleasure having you on board. It was just great catching up, great chatting, and I loved everything about it. But I also want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Connect Over Coffee. You want to see more chats and listen to more chats like this, please be sure to subscribe and then also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Facebook. It's not Facebook, but Facebook, and of course, LinkedIn. All right, guys, let's connect soon. Thanks.
Hey, bye bye.
Bye.